iZombie Season 2 premiere, Grumpy Old Liv. Definitely a funny start to the season. I think it basically picked up right where it left off. Not counting time, just feel-wise, everything this episode was just like the last season, which is actually great because I love the last season. It had its really silly jokes, which I think they kind of ramped it up because it was a lot of, like, some of the jokes were kind of race-based and just really out there jokes, but they all definitely landed well. It was just really funny. One of the most notable ones, of course, was when Liv was being hit on by the one guy, and then the first joke was already funny, and it wasn't even a joke. It was just Clive kind of helping out Liv, and he's like, unless you want to, be in jail with the Aryan Brotherhood and stuff like that, you leave her alone. And I was like, that in itself was funny because it was obviously race based. Like, unless you want to be with basically the KKK as a black guy, leave her alone. So that in itself was funny. And then she's like, thanks, Clive, you're one of the good ones. And it was just like, holy crap, I can't believe she said that. And it was just so silly and funny. But this is actually a really cool episode because aside from the jokes and, of course, the case itself, and this really only came from the ending. Like, most of this stuff in this episode was just a normal case. And then we had, of course, the stuff with Blaine, like, what's he doing, where is he at? We had the scene, like, I didn't know, at least, I don't know if you guys picked up on it automatically. I didn't know that it was, like, a zombie spidey sense until it happened the second time, when we got to see it happen with Major. When it happened with Blaine, I thought it was just, like, a weird random thing. Technically, he did just get a sense because he knew that there was a zombie around, and it's one he's unfamiliar with, or simply in his case, just has ill will towards. So that was fairly interesting in itself. I thought that was a really cool reveal that, if you're cured, who knows how long this cure lasts, by the way. That was something that they actually brought up in this episode, which was definitely one of my predictions, which I failed to do prediction videos for, like, everything. I just did it at the time, but that was one of the things I thought of. Like, what if they write this show up where by the end of this season, both Blaine and Major become zombies again, which we know how that would work out for Blaine. I mean, especially in the condition he's in now, or position he's in, where he has this funeral home, brains are coming to him. Seemingly, that's what he's actually doing. I don't know if he's completely given that up and he's gone to drugs, but I think he just has both now. But we didn't really see him dive into anything. He does kind of mention that is what he's doing, though. Like, he's still in the game selling brains to zombies and stuff like that. So, of course, he'd probably stick exactly where he is. He has an even better operation. It's easier. He doesn't have to kidnap people. No trail. People come right to him, pop the brains out, and keep on going. So, we know how that would work for him. But Major was the one where it's like he was like the zombie killer, which I love the fact that they brought that around, and now he has to do it because he's forced to do it. So that's really cool. I love that at the end of this episode. But if he became a zombie again, who the heck knows? Like, I don't know how that's going to play out. One thing that was very interesting, though, I thought for sure, and I mentioned this in the finale review for the first season, that the guy who sells Max Rager was a zombie, because he had, like, they did, like, a little interview with the guy, and he had, like, a streak of white hair, and it seemed like it was totally out of nowhere. So I thought for sure, like, oh, this guy's a zombie too, and he dyes his hair and tans just like every other zombie. But they didn't have the scene with Major where he had, like, the spider sense basically go off, and they didn't even have one after he left or anything where he thought about his hairs, rising on the back of his neck. So I guess he's not, or maybe he's just in a weird position where, just like with Liv, for whatever reason, Major doesn't get that sort of warning towards this guy, and it's probably because he kind of played up the idea of killing zombies, and I don't know, like, that doesn't really make any sense because he didn't even meet the guy. He hadn't even seen the guy that he was helping train, and his hair was already standing up. Like, he hadn't even walked in the room yet, and he had that weird sense go off. So I don't know if that's something they're kind of retconning, or if that was just nothing. They made it seem that way where he was a zombie, or what they're doing with that. But it kind of surprised me that Major didn't have that random sense go off. So I don't know what that means. Whether it means he's not a zombie or if he just didn't get it for whatever random reason, it didn't happen. So that has me really curious and kind of rethinking that last scene from the season 1 finale. So that was kind of weird, but of course he gets forced into this new position, and now he's gonna go on a zombie killing rampage where he takes out this one guy who's just a family man turned into a zombie. Who knows how? But how he's getting brains as well. Same thing. Just he is, and he got turned. He's eating brains. He's tanning, dyeing his hair, all that stuff. Who the heck knows how it happened? But it doesn't matter because Major comes in, takes the guy down, puts 2 bullets in his head after knocking him unconscious, and then dumps his body right in the river. And whoever this random secretary is, she was watching him. I guess she was following him, or she waited at the house because they were following him for a little bit. But I don't know. That was a pretty interesting ending. And then of course we get the scene of her looking at him toss his body over the bridge, and then she's the one who replaced Peyton as Liv's roommate. So of course we have these 2 people. My girlfriend also pointed out that the assistant looks a lot like Liv, which she kind of does. I didn't think it at first, but in certain ways she kind of does look like Liv, which I thought was kind of funny. So when I saw them next to each other, I didn't think they looked too alike, but like if it's just her, because we don't get a name for her character like at all. She's just the assistant. It may be the same person from the last season, but also she was in like maybe 3 or 4 scenes, like walking in and basically telling someone to get out. So it's not like she really has that much of an amazing character where we need to know who she is. I don't even remember the boss's name, honestly. He's just like the top tier villain, but at the same time he kind of just isn't really doing anything. He's just like, well, let's kill zombies off. He is at least admitting, which I thought was interesting, that they are the ones that caused the zombie outbreak, which he knew, and I guess he can easily tell it to Major because it's like, well, we have all these recordings and stuff, so it's not like you're going to tell anybody. But, you know, it's kind of just like both of those characters, mostly, you know, the main guy, even with him, it's just like, meh, I know he's the main villain. He has a much bigger role now because he's, of course, hired Major, so it makes him way more important, which I do enjoy because they still mention it a little bit, but we have Super Max coming out, and I highly doubt, like the guy said over the phone, like, how do you know that this won't have the same effects as Max Rager, which odds are would have even worse effects. So I'm sure they don't have that figured out. He's just telling everyone he does. So I'm looking forward to getting more info on that, getting to see more details about Max Rager and just some of the craziness that's going on behind the scenes that we don't really know about. I think we had like 1 specific episode that was devoted, or at least somewhat of the storyline was devoted to that, where they had like one of the scientist guys or something like that watched a video of one of the former scientists get eaten, and they were basically like, fix this or that's going to happen to you because zombies are going to eat people. And that's really the only episode we had, and I'm pretty sure they killed that guy off too. So I can't wait to get more of that from this season and get behind the scenes of Max Rager and, you know, figure out what the heck is going to happen with this Supermax stuff, because once again, we can only assume it's going to be worse. He can say, oh, we fixed it and this and that, but it's just more of the same, which means it'll either make people different types of zombies, or, you know, it'll just affect people much faster than normal. It'll just be like, you know, an hour later, poof, you're a zombie, instead of, you know, whatever it is right now. But I did love the reveals. Curious about Peyton. I mean, admittedly, she took off, I think it was the episode before the finale, and then that was it. It was like the big shock that she found out, and then she was gone in the finale. She took off. In this episode, she's gone. It's been, I believe, 3 months. So she's just gone. Like, I'm wondering, I feel like I have to look up some stuff now, like whether or not the actress actually left the show. I can't even think of her name, but I know her from the Disney Channel. What is her name? She was on another CW show a while, like a cheerleading show or something. But it's either Allie or AJ, I can't remember. They're sisters from the Disney Channel, you can easily look it up. But either way, it kind of makes me wonder if she's left the show. I hope not, because they did write that in at the end of the season. So hopefully that's just how they wrote it, and they're kind of saving that reveal of her coming back. And this is just her time to figure things out, which like I said, hopefully we'll get an answer to if she is actually coming back, which I really hope she is, because that would suck. That was a huge reveal, and then she was literally just gone in the next episode. Like, she took off, which made perfect sense. So it was like, now we have that question, and I guess, technically now we just still do. We just have to see how long we have to keep that question until she comes back in. But Liv has a new roommate who's like secretly spying on her. I'm pretty sure they know for a fact that Major knows who Liv is. I mean, he says it at the end, the guy, the boss. He mentions, like, when we have this one zombie that we know for sure of, and it's Liv Moore. And it's like, okay, well, obviously with the phone calls, they know that they're close to each other. Like, I'm pretty sure they said each other's name. I guess they didn't. He technically just said, when Major answered the phone, it was like, well, you're persistent. And that's about it. But it's like, well, as many times as she's met the boss, I'm pretty sure you could pick up her voice and stuff like that. And plus, she knows about zombies, and it's like, oh yeah, it's not that hard to figure out. So I wasn't 100% sure based on the way he said it, because he didn't say it like, oh, well, Liv Moore, you know her, I know her as well. He said it in a weird, vague way, like, well, we know of this zombie, but I don't know that you're or that you two have even some form of a relationship, despite these phone calls and me meeting her and, me being able to pick up her voice. Although, I guess, despite what she's done and him obviously knowing that she's a zombie, I guess not important, even though it should be, because she killed his right-hand man and was trying to kill him at one point and stuff like that. So it was kind of weird to me that he mentioned that. Just the way that he said it, it wasn't like, well, he didn't threaten him with it. Like, he kind of did, but it wasn't like, I know her and I know you have a relationship and we could kill her. It was almost like, we know of this one zombie, but we got to start somewhere. It was basically it. It was super vague, like he kind of knew, but not really, and mostly that he didn't. He was just being vague. Like, we know she's a zombie for sure, and we got to start somewhere, and that was literally it. And so maybe it's just the way I saw it, but it was definitely the way it was acted as well. So either way, it doesn't matter, because of course Major picked up the job, and now he's going to be hunting zombies. They have, I believe he had a list of like 200 and something people. So that was pretty interesting, even though that was one page of paper, because it looked like the information went across, like this is their name, and it would have to be like where they lived and stuff, but everything was perfectly even. So I was like, it's not how 200 names come out, but whatever. So I'm excited for that. Of course, I'm excited for the normal stuff. We get to see Liv just do her missions and stuff like that. I don't know why I said missions, but do her cases and deal with certain things. Of course, the family aspect from the season finale, that was pretty cool. It didn't really have as big of an impact as I thought it would in the first episode, but it's known enough. Like, her family does not want her around. Her brother basically thinks she left him to die by not giving a blood transfusion. So they're not on the greatest terms as brother and sister, and her mother doesn't really like her. Admittedly, she doesn't really like her too much at this point. But it was interesting. I'm excited to see how that plays out as well. Maybe they'll find out this season. Maybe that'll be one of the other big reveals, like, holy crap, zombie mode. Maybe I feel like that's typically how it goes. The person that hated them the most, because I'm sure her mother's upset, but it's her brother who was the one that almost died. So I feel like he's the one who will end up finding out if it's between the brother and the mother. But I think it would be a cool twist if it was the mother and she couldn't tell the brother, and he just continued to hate her, and then he ended up hating his mother as well, because she's not exactly siding with Liv, but that's kind of how he sees it. Like, what the heck, you just flipped out of nowhere and now you totally support Liv's decision to let me die. So it could be one of those. It could be where they both find out too, and then everything's just, I guess we can't really say happy because of just all the insanity that goes on with that. But who knows? It could be interesting. It could be a reveal. She could find a way to just make it work and they stay in the dark. I think with her having a roommate who's a super secret spy, I feel like that just leads to someone extra finding out something. I doubt it'll be Clive, because he's the one person who really needs to know. But It's totally fine. And then of course Clive looking into the case, he found Blaine, which I thought was kind of cool. He finally found Blaine, and then it's like, all right, he has to figure out where he is, which shouldn't be too hard. I mean, he does use a fake name. He does use the John Doe with DEAUX. Hopefully I spelled that right. So he won't find him through the job, but who knows? It should be pretty interesting. I enjoyed that. The stuff with Blaine, I liked him going to the twin, which I do remember the twin from the last season, so it was kind of cool to see. I would assume it's the same actor and not his actual twin. So it was kind of cool to see him come back, which I don't know if he had a focus in an episode or if it was like a picture, but I do remember that guy from the last season. But he died doing something. Like, I just remember that that guy was in the show. Like, oh, I remember his face. So he's looking for the person who cut the utopium. So we're going to get that. We have him in this crazy big, just a casket full of pure uncut utopium. Who knows where he's getting that from? That there has to be a high up source for that as well. So we're going to get some answers. He's going to get these answers to Liv, who's going to give them to Robbie, and we're going to see how that plays out. But I enjoyed this first episode. Definitely funny, like the case. Pretty cool twist at the end. I thought for sure it was going to be the old woman because she, was running and keyed his car and everything like that, and she totally lied about respecting him and things like that. So I thought for sure, like, oh, it's going to be her. And I thought what was going to happen with the guy and his dog, it was just going to be another dog that he bought just fast enough to where it was like, oh, well, he still has his dog. But that was kind of interesting, too. It was just, like, weird. Like, the visions were weird. Also, the visions not coming in until, like, basically the end of the episode was pretty interesting because that never happens. So that was actually kind of cool. There was just a nice little twist where it's like, we'll save the case for as basically the last thing, or next to last thing until the major stuff. Major is the character, not major. So I enjoyed that. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, there were no leads or anything. They just kind of did an actual case until she bumped into the sketch artist, which I loved. Like, what she insulted him with about his hair was really funny. A lot of the insults just really landed in this that were just really funny because the guy was just bad. We got an Obama thing, which I always love when people say that as a joke. It's just really funny because it's true. That happens all the time. It just makes no sense. So I did love that because it was just like, Obama. I can't even remember what the problem was. I just remember that she ended with Obama, and it was just like, okay. And Clive just was like, let's just move on to the next logical thing. So a lot of the jokes landed very well for me in this premiere. Loved it overall, like where Blaine is, him actually trying to figure things out, because of course, who knows, I don't know if he's 100% happy with being alive again. I mean, I know he, of course, played it up like the chocolate thing, which led to another great joke with Liv, like, are you eating it or impregnating it? So, just another great moment, but he could totally miss it. I mean, the super strength, healing, and stuff like that, I don't know, but we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, I enjoyed this premiere. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And there's a lot of different stuff going on in this, but I think the craziest thing, of course, is more Max Rager for this season, and a huge, integration now that we have Major working for them. So I want to know what you guys think is going to come of that. Like, is he going to turn on them at some point this season and take out the boss and the secretary? Is he just going to go along with it? Is he going to start to enjoy it? Because who knows, maybe he will. Like, I highly doubt it, but I think all he has to do really is find like one bad zombie, and then it'll kind of help him coast along the other ones. Like, oh, I might kill like 4 bad zombies, but after a while he might think about what the boss told him, like, close the door and be a hero. Like, it seems really bad because you're killing these people, but in the long run you're saving all of these other people. So I don't know, I feel like he's gonna find a zombie that's really bad, or maybe just tough to kill, who knows. And when he does it, he's gonna feel a sense of accomplishment that he probably shouldn't feel, and that'll kind of just keep him coasting along to kill the rest of the zombies until, of course, he gets to live. And then we'll see how that plays out when it happens, or when she finds out, because that's probably going to happen at some point. Someone's going to find out. I don't know if it'll be Robbie or if it'll be Liv. It could even be Clive. Like, he's looking into that stuff, which kind of has me excited. Like, if he finds out about that, it would be up to Major then to save himself. Like, zombies are real, but he can't use Blaine, as that example anymore because Blaine's human now. So there's a lot of couple of elements, a lot of couple, of course, but there are a lot of cool elements that can blend together, but we have to see how they play out. But like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this premiere, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.